Hello everybody, Strategic Operative here. Today I'm coming to you with a video from Ryan Kingston's Star Wars Armada Fleet Builder, and we're going to be looking at an SSD build that I believe is actually going to be very competitive. Looking at the meta that is currently out for Armada, and this is going to be legal on a 400-point format for FFG Armada, whether it's the actual FFG tournaments or it's going to be local store tournaments for Armada. So we are using the Star Dreadnought Assault prototype. Basically, it's the ship that I've been preaching over and over again that I think is going to be the best variant. Of course, we have Moff Jerjerrod, Agent Callus, Director Krennic, Damage Control Officer, Gunnery Teams, Quad Laser Turrets, Point Defense Reroute, Leading Shots, Enhanced Armament, Quad Turbo Laser Cannons, and the Ravager title. The Enhanced Armament and Quad Turbo Laser Cannons are really going to meld well with each other, and they're enhancing the Ravager and Director Krennic's ability. We're running Concentrate Fire, most of the time probably round 2, 3, 4, and possibly 5. Your first round's going to be running Nav, and your last round's probably going to be running Engineering. But the idea is this is going to be a frontline assault, pretty much offensive dreadnought. This is going to be leading the charge. This runs off the Tarkin Doctrine. I know that there is some flaws with the Tarkin Doctrine that we did discuss in one of my prior videos concerning the Tarkin Doctrine, and we are going to try sealing up some of those holes today with the rest of the fleet. This is an awesome ship right now. But it's not a strong fleet as it is. It doesn't have support, and it doesn't have squadron capabilities. It has beautiful anti-squadron. It has Agent Callus, Quad Laser Turrets, and Point Defense Reroute, which really helps the flakking ability of our red die and our blue dice, long range and medium range. Agent Callus, you just throw in a black dice at long range. If a squadron does attack us, you have Quad Laser Turrets, Point Defense Reroutes, and also, if it is a unique squad, you get to put Agent Callus on there as well. This is really strong of a ship, and it's mainly focused on hitting other ships. However, squadrons, it can obliterate squadrons as well. So for our support ship, we are going to be using the Gazanti class cruiser. It's going to be the cheaper alternative variant. We're going to be using Comnets. That way we can put our NAP tokens, Engineering, Concentrate Fire, or possibly in a fluke, in a blue moon, a squadron command to the SSD. That's just really going to help us even more maneuverable, because right now our goal is for the SSD to be running Concentrate Fire. It's going to be running Nav the first round, and we'll be giving it Nav every once in a while from the Gazanti, but Moff Jerjerrod's going to be most of the heavy lifting. In theory, you would just be running Engineering points to the SSD, so it can just sort of pay off and regain a shield every time you take down a shield for using Moff Jerjerrod's ability. So next, the only thing that's really missing is an escort. You could either go, it's too expensive to go with Raiders, and that's the cheapest alternative right now for a 400-point format for the Empire. So what you're going to run, what I would recommend, actually we're not using ships, we're going to go to our squadrons, and I think this is going to be the most effective. You might disagree, but I really think just been playtesting with the idea, and I really think this is going to be quite effective. It's running a TIE swarm just around the SSD, around the front or the sides, wherever you think squadrons are going to come. You're going to be running 5 TIEs, just regular TIEs, for 8 points each. That's really going to be, I think that's really going to be pretty powerful. Just looking at the SSD, there's going to be a lot going on. You're gonna use the Gazanti. That's gonna be more of the rear of your fleet, because once again, you don't want that to get shot right away. You could take out a TIE fighter and put Emperor Palpatine officer on the Gazanti if you're afraid it's gonna get shot at. But I'm not too concerned right now. I think that everything's going to be centered around the assault prototype SSD. The TIE fighters are going to give it a nice composition just to slow down bombers or fighters even more. So you have a slower approach even on squadrons, and in that time, hopefully Agent Callus can take care of that real quick, possibly even quad turbo laser cannons, and using Director Krennic's ability might even be able to wipe out, and the Ravager might be able to wipe out squadrons before they even reach the SSD, or the SSD can use that slower approach to take out the carriers, because your goal number 1 is to take out the carriers, not necessarily the squadrons. You can take out the carriers, you can win a lot easier, and it's more effective. So what I'm going with, what I think is going to be very competitive, at least in our current meta, if you're going to be using a Superstar Destroyer in your build, is going to be 5 TIE Fighters. You're going to be using a Gazanti carrier, using Comnets. Of course, you could spice it up a little bit, little variances, but the key, I think, is going to be the SSD Assault Prototype, and the idea here is finding a card that melds with every other card in your ship. On your ship. If you have a card that sticks out like a sore thumb, that really, I mean, it's a great ability, but it really doesn't meld well with everything else, you probably should change out the card, because everything on here, from enhanced armament, the quad laser cannons, to Ravager, Director Krennic, those all meld well together, and Director Krennic and Ravager can meld well with Agent Callus and flacking abilities. Agent Callus runs really well with quad laser turrets, point defense, reroutes. Gunnery team works with everything. Leading shots works with everything. Moff Jerjerrod, you're not focusing on those nav commands because you're using him as your pretty much as your movement tool. And Damage Control Officer is probably the one. If I had to pick a sore thumb in this list, it's going to be Damage Control Officer. But that's shutting down. That's working defensively for your fleet. It's shutting down those crits that are getting through that could potentially make you lose the game. Face-up damage cards are really going to hurt the SSD, unlike any other capacity that we've seen, even on just a regular ISD. Damage control is really going to save that.